This is ACOFAE. Laura Marie and Jessica Marie proudly present A Court of Fandoms and Exploration, a podcast. Fair warning, everything the hosts say is explicit, full of spoilers and adult content and shall not be used against them. They have opinions. Let's try not to drag anyone for expressing themselves and just have fun for an hour. We all deserve it.
This episode contains spoilers from Idiocracy with mentions of The Ugly Truth, Twilight, and Project Hail Mary. For full list, please see show notes.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to A Court of Fandoms and Exploration, your weekly deep dive into the fantasy, literature, and fandoms that we love. I'm Laura Marie.
And I'm Jessica Marie.
And today we are discussing the 2006, let's call this a satire classic. This is Idiocracy.
Yeah, I think we can argue that it's not necessarily a cult classic because in true ACOFAE form, I had never heard of this movie until Laura and editor Sam had me watch it while they were in Germany, which also, I think there's a reason I didn't watch it because coming to the fun facts later, the studio didn't exactly want anybody watching it either. So they did their job with everyone except Laura and editor Sam.
Well, editor Sam, he is the one that showed this to me when we were dating. Yeah, this one went totally over my head, under my radar. It didn't click for me, but editor Sam shall be a huge fan of Mike Judge, of Office Space, of King of the Hill, of all of the things that man has done. So Idiocracy was really on his radar. So he was like, oh my God, you have to see this. Isn't this hilarious? This will never happen. Isn't this so funny? Instant dramatic pause because one of the things I think we talked about was definitely was let's make this outrageous as possible. Let's make this movie something that would never happen in a million years. Here we are. Granted, there are a ton of, there are things that it wouldn't be made today just for the fact that you have F slurs, hard R's, N words. I'm just how is this casual? How is this so casually made with no repercussions? Again, 2006. Could be why the studio was oh, maybe we thought it was funny in theory, not so much now. But now when you do the rewatch, especially in 2024 when we're recording this, it's very much oh, this isn't as funny as it was intended to be anymore. A lot of the things are so real. They're not even exaggerated. Yeah, a lot of the things are so real, not exaggerated, have happened, and is weird. And it makes the rewatch as an older person, I guess, because I was pretty old. I was pretty old when I saw this for the first time. I mean,
we're only as old as we feel.
We're only as old as we feel. Well, I was old in years when I saw this for the first time, and I'm old in years now. And let me tell you, it is not exactly hard to watch now, but it is, I think, for me specifically, I'm talking about me. I have to watch it steeped in nostalgia because if I kind of apply it to real life, it's So if I apply it to when it was how I was feeling when it came out, how I was feeling when you saw it for the first time, all of these things is a very much different feeling. Because some of this is it's fucking hilarious.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. It's I think we talked about this in another episode. I can't remember off the top of my head. I think it's just when we're referencing other movies. Maybe it was our Clueless episode, where The Ugly Truth, hilarious at that time. Oh my God, we've grown so much because it's not so funny now. But one of the things that I wanted to ask you, Laura, is does this follow the pattern?
Okay.
Because we've tapped on the pattern every now and then for some of our episodes, just like our Twilight episode. So I wanted to know your thought. If if we're starting to pick that up now with some of our like movie cult classic fandom watches.
Yes. This follows the pattern because it starts off with our intro, natural selection, our voiceover. Basically, we got dumber. The future tour ride, very funny. But yes, it follows the pattern. We have our family tree of Trevor and Carol, the smart people, and Cleavon and Trish and Brittany and everyone else.
And everyone else. The not so smart people. And it says the people that are waiting and that are really like taking their time are not having children because by the time they get around to it, either their partner has died or, circumstances has happened or the money is just never right. And they don't end up having any smart children. So then by the end of this, Joe, who has become the smartest person in the world, does have children. He has 3 of the smartest children in the world. So it, we kind of balance itself out there. However, Frito has got a lot at the end too, to kind of balance out what Joe is doing. So, such is life.
Such is life. Such is life. Such is life. Okay. Before though, we dive into this a little bit, Jess, can you tell me who some of these people are? But I am going to say before we get started, and I'm sorry if this pisses people off, I am not a fan of Mr. Dax Shepard. I don't care for him. I especially don't care for him in this role. However, I accept that he's an actor and he's in things, so I will not mention it or harp on it again. I'm just saying he bothers me. All right, please continue.
So some of our key players. We have Luke Wilson, who is our average Joe American soldier. When he's told to step up, lead, or get out the way, he says I'm getting out of the way. I don't. And his coworkers and other people are like, that's supposed to intimidate you. That's supposed to scare you that you're being your shit. He's like, yeah, I'm good. Just standing my ground, doing nothing. But he eventually turns VP and then turns president of basically the world. We have Maya Rudolph, who is our sex worker turned first lady. She, her and Luke, Joe, they are the 2 people who are going to be in a human experiment to see if you can basically freeze dry humans and then bring them back a year later. The government is going to be pumping them nutrients, so they basically survive during this stasis that they're in. And then we have Terry Crews, who is a wrestling star turned president and porn extraordinaire, porn star master.
There
we go. We have a lot of layers to Mr. Terry Crews' characters. Who is president in our future. Again, our future is 500 years in the future. This was supposed to be a 1-year experiment. I want to know the loophole, though, because, I always have a loophole when it comes to dystopian sci-fi, Laura, and I'll get to it in a second. Dax Shepard plays Frida the lawyer, and Justin Long plays the doctor at the beginning of the film. I feel like those are our key, known names in this movie. There's a lot of other characters going on, too.
The rapper Scarface plays Upgrade.
Oh, Upgrade the pimp.
Yeah.
Yes.
You gotta say it.
Upgrade. And his name, it has 2 D's for
double dose of pimpin'.
Yeah, double dose of pimping. I was gonna say double dick down, but same name.
No.
It's one and the same, right? But basically the premise of the movie is, we're gonna have 2 human experiments to see, to honestly good on the government for not only testing a male men specimen like they did with our feminine products. So okay, we'll give you kudos there. But basically the government was made as participating in a sex ring in this secret experiment. The experiment doesn't happen. And it's forgotten about because nobody knew about it because it's a secret. So instead of a year later, their stasis pods are found 500 years later in the Great Garbage Avalanche of like 2,500. And that's kind of like where we are. My loophole question was, if they're like the vitamins that they were being pumped through in the stasis were supposed, like, they were made, the government didn't know about them, everything was demolished. Who was keeping up with the stasis for 500 years? That is my loophole question. But again, this is just me being too into it.
I just finished Project Hail Mary, and machines can do crazy shit.
Okay, so we're just going to be like AI and robots. You know what the robots can't do in this movie, including a Roomba before Roombas existed, could not vacuum and kept bumping into things. So there we go. One of our first things of the future. Well, not really, because the first thing would have been the difference between people who actively want to procreate and then people who just kind of like are careless about it. I don't know if that's like a kind, but that's probably like a harsh way to say things.
I need to stop you. Because I have to. It's one of my favorite parts. The slideshow of our government agent, a pimp's love, is different from that of a square.
You were saying this quote earlier too.
Pippin is not easy. You have to gain his trust. And the slideshow is like 20 slides, and it's hilarious, every single one. And then later, the government agent who is in charge of the project, the reason it got shut down, demolished, and forgotten is because he was charged with upgrade and sent to prison for a prostitution ring, and they bust in his office as he is affixing his gold tooth. And it is incredible. It is just so amazing. He is the whitest person. It just makes it chef's kiss. It's glorious. Amazing. So we have, just as you were saying, Rita, who is our sex worker, and Joe, who is our army librarian, who just sits on his ass and watches TV all the time. These people are chosen because they have no family. So like they can be missed, and like this accident, this plot can happen, and they don't have family looking for them.
Well, and that, I feel like that happens more than probably is talked about.
That's probably standard.
That's
procedure.
Probably standard. And they even said like, this is kind of like the experiment before the approved experiment. So like nobody would question anything. Nobody's going to look for them. So, I mean, even Joe, like you said, he's just chilling watching his Netflix, which, you know, whatever streaming thing he was watching down in the library basement at the time. And she's a sex worker. Like, I will say she's probably arguably the smartest out of everybody in that movie, because she still was so adaptable no matter what her environment is. And even said, she's like, I'm not going back to the past when we get to that part. She's like, I'm kind of thriving here. And we love that for me.
Have you ever eaten at a Fuddruckers?
I think when I was a kid.
Let me tell you, the de-evolution of Fuddruckers. You could have called, you seen that shit a mile away. Like,
that name, 100%.
That name is wild to start with. And then we just, we end up with buttfuckers. And that is just at kids' birthdays. Amazing.
I wouldn't be surprised if that is what, you know, when people give like raunchy nicknames to something, if that was already a nickname amongst like, oh, are you gonna have your birthday at buttfuckers? You know, before anything. Like, I would make my brother laugh when we would go to Massachusetts, and it would be like, you know, we're like, I'm 11 and he's younger, and I would swear and be like, are we going to go to Massachusetts? Like, he thought that was the funniest thing because I'm an 11-year-old sister swearing, and he's like, hee, you swore. Like, stupid shit like that.
But that shit, though, that is funny, is kind of like the base here. It's like the core kind of thing here. So, like, if you are in that mindset, then this is very funny. Because Frito Pendejo, is watching essentially what kind of looks like intergalactic cable to us. But it's like, ow my balls.
Ow, my balls. And the first note that I put was, this is Jackass. And he's laughing. And didn't everybody, everybody was always like watching Jackass on MTV when that was a thing. And then when they made it into a movie, people must have ran to the theaters to watch that. Like, cause you have Johnny Knoxville, you have like Johnny Knoxville and Bam Margera and like Steve-O, like all these people.
Ryan Dunn, Wee Man. Oh my gosh.
Man.
Johnny Knoxville can still get it.
He looks so good.
Get it back then. Probably
good for you, Jessica Simpson.
Could always get it. Yes. Oh my God. Johnny Knoxville. Woo, he's a silver fox now, and that is just fine. We are bringing this up because Mike Judge was responsible for like 3 or 4 of the Jackass movies.
So like he writes it. You know what it is? It feels like this movie was written by middle school boys with money to spend.
It does. It really, really does. Especially because we have things like, just as you said, the 2505 garbage avalanche, which is what catapults Joe in his pod into Frito's house. Shut up. I'm watching on my balls. No, I'm not going to say it. I said I wouldn't shit on him anymore. The character is very convincing as not very smart.
Yeah. And later in the film, I was surprised he knew as many words as he did.
Yeah. You're like, we'll get there. We'll get there. Cause it's also very surprising, but that's also part of like probably character growth, maybe. I have to say that there is a burnt out DeLorean that, is passed by Joe as he's walking in the city after he wakes up and is thrown out of Frito's apartment, and he's trying to like talk to people, and that's just like a funny like haha at another like time travel-y like movie, right? So it was very fun. St. God's Memorial Hospital. I love it, obviously St. God's, but I love also the visual gag of like hospital not fitting on the building. And it's just like kind of like down, like, oh, it's good. I mean, no, but it's amusing.
You know what I found was amusing in the hospital scene was
win free healthcare at the casino. Cause that's what I thought was funny.
I was thinking of the iconography of trying to tell somebody what hurts.
Oh, yeah.
When you're like, because in the movie, everybody's really like they are not coherent. They are not competent. They cannot read. They're illiterate. And it's showing, and it's not because of lack of resources. It's just because that's the way that the world evolved. And that they have icons to show. It reminds me of like when a kid doesn't know the words, but it's like, where does it hurt? That's kind of what the icons. And then she didn't know what he understood, what he was saying hurt. So she just put question mark, and they were like, you go over there. Have a nice day. And I mean, if that's not American healthcare, like, I don't know where the fuck you're going, but like, you'll wait here for the next million hours.
Which is also very funny too in the background because everything is branded. In the hospital, everything is like medication like ads and like medicine ads, and outside everything is branded, and then the clothes are all branded but like shiny like race car like polyester material that like it's all they're for a movie.
It's the height of American Apparel. Remember those leggings?
Yes. Oh my God. But also the amount of detail and world building that is in this, just visually for the budget that they had, is really, I don't know, like
they did a lot
creative.
With a little.
Yeah. Like very creative because it's all there. Especially because like we have Brando, the thirst mutilator, which I think is just so goddamn funny.
It has electrolytes.
It's got what plants crave. But Joe is just wandering the hospital after he's like being diagnosed. He's trying to go over there, and he goes to a doctor, I think Shafty, and he's like, hey, can I get some water? Like, I think there's like Gatorade coming out of the water fountain. Can I get some water? And the doctor's like, ew, why do you want water? Like from the toilet? And immediately you're like, okay, that'll come back later somehow, because that's weird. Okay. But also the machine, this goes in your butt, this goes in your ear.
Oh, that scene. And they were like, and they were getting the reading wrong, and they had to switch it all around. And they didn't interchange that. There weren't even like, the little finger condoms. You didn't have those interchangeable. Everybody was sharing that.
Oh, it was funny. Okay. And then we have the famous scene with Justin Long. We will not go over it. It is full of inappropriate words. Scrote is just such a really good. It's good. Justin Long absolutely kills it here. You're unscannable. Oh my God. And he's just like in the wall, like,
Why are you unscannable?
Why are you unscannable? Ha, 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 ha. Everybody's screaming. It's very, very funny. But it is because everyone has tattooed, like QR codes essentially that are scanned with their IDs. And he doesn't have one, obviously.
Well, and he thinks everything right now. He still doesn't realize that he's in the future. He's just thinking there's typos and is just kind of wondering, wait, what is happening? What world am I in? Finally understands that he must be in the future somehow and is like trying to make sense of everything because he isn't scannable. And the scanning is how the government tracks you and how much money you have and how you pay for everything and how you're identified. And it's really kind of scary. Where at this again, it's like, oh, here, what's this hilarious thing of like a future
that
world?
Would never happen.
That would never happen. Like, and it started off with Mike Judge being at Disneyland, seeing two moms push their kids in strollers, and they were swearing at each other. And he was like, they were little, they were in strollers, so obviously they were repeating whatever was around them. But he was just thinking, oh my God, imagine a world that's just kind of like, it's just this. And that was the concept of this movie, plus middle school boy humor. And this is the reveal kind of for us too, because we have a little bit of it, but Joe goes to the hospital window and he like throws it open and he sees like buildings are like tied together and like things are leaning over and garbage is piled up everywhere. Cars are just driving off broken highways. And he's like, oh my God. And he realizes that he's in the future. However, he gets fucking arrested and he has to go to court, and we are introduced to Stephen Root. So Stephen Root is amazing. He's hilarious. He is iconic. He is a fan of a red stapler. He wants to burn it all down. He is a star of Office Space. He's amazing here. I love his hair. It reminds me of Wolverine. Oh, that's a good reference. Yeah.
His little curly cues. So he is the judge here. And then we have Frito Pendejo as our lawyer. Like you tried to rob the hospital. What'd you do that for? I didn't do it. I'm not guilty. Well, he says you did it.
This is how I imagine lawyers sometimes do it. Like, this is honestly, because I always think of Rev Maisel. We love her. She's always like saying, she's like, if you want to know how lawyers talk to each other really formally, and she'll reword things. Well, talk shit and like how to get other people worked up. She's like, it's honestly the best profession ever. And you get paid to get riled, to rile other people up. That's kind of how I imagine this. She's like, but they actually said you did. So who should I believe as he's trying to defend a client? Where he got his degree, his law degree, from Costco, no less. Because Costco has everything.
Costco has everything.
Even in 2006.
Why did you rob a hospital? You don't have any money. We're just not going to have any money to pay me.
He's like, everybody gets hyped up against Luke, against Joe.
And he's just sitting there like, oh my God. So he obviously is arrested. Joe tries to talk to logic. Everyone, and says like, this is what happened. Everyone says it's boring. He's guilty. He goes and gets his ID. This part is frustrating to me. I wish Joe is just a little bit smarter so he could get his actual fucking name tattooed on him. But he goes through the like, that's not correct. No, I'm not sure. No, correct. No. And gets his name all screwed up, and he is tattooed as not sure. But he fucking kills that aptitude test, though. Nails it. 2 buckets, man. 2 buckets.
I could see how somebody under pressure like misreads it.
It'd be like,
and they're
8.
not thinking,
oh my God.
They're thinking of gallons, not buckets. Yeah.
Yep. But also there's the shape test that has to be done. It's funny too, because we know that Joe was the most, that's the gag. He was the most average person in 2005 when this is set. So now, 500 years later, he is the smartest person. And he says like, yo, this test is really easy. And then it pans around to everyone else taking the test around him, and they are struggling. So again, just to prove this, Joe essentially walks his happy ass out of jail.
He's so smart about it, too, because they even say, like, he's like, wait, if everyone's as dumb as I think they are, he just goes over to another line. I'm actually supposed to be being let out. I've done prison. I've actually been in prison already, so I need to leave. And the warden's like, you dumbass, hits him, and then says the line's over there. And that part I thought was hilarious because it's like, oh, it's that easy. And then he goes to the next person. They're like, we don't have you here in the system as leaving. And he goes, maybe you should check your file. You should turn around and check the files. And he does, and he leaves.
He just leaves. He walks out, and he goes back to Frito's house, and Frito goes, go away, I'm baiting. Oh, I want her to cut me a piece. And assuming it's porn, we look down. It is legs and feet using utensils, cutting a Salisbury steak, it looks like. So he's baiting. He's baiting on the toilet to that. We love that. But Joe comes in and he's like, yo, like, is there a time machine? And Frito's like, yeah, no, like, totally. Yeah, we totally have a time machine. It's really expensive and it breaks all the time, but I can take you for like money because I like money.
Same.
Yeah. Billions. How many billions? How many billions?
Oh, yeah. Well, the time machine costs 20 billion. We'll get you 30.
We'll get you
You
30.
can take the difference. What's the difference? You're dumb. You don't know math. It's 80.
It's 80 billion. He's like, oh, I like money. All right. We love it. We love it.
Can I just say, if I was brought to that thing after looking for a time machine, I would have lost my shit.
Yeah. Yeah, that would have been the end of everyone.
Luke Wilson, Joe and Rita, their characters never losing their cool at all
Couldn't be
is
me.
probably the most unrealistic part of this whole movie.
Yeah, I think I would have started screaming at a few points.
I can't deal with stupid people now.
Yeah.
On a regular day, not even in this world.
Screaming. The toilet couch is a very gross, nice touch here, just to show like the laziness. Also, the paste that everyone is eating with their fingers out of the big tub.
Fun fact, I dated somebody and they used to say they wish they had a hole in their bed so they didn't have to get up in the morning and would just have to pee laying down. So if that just attributes more to the lore of this lazy person, you know, that speaks volumes. You're like, that actually tracks completely.
It does. Because I'm imagining the smell of what this toilet chair in the middle of your house would be like. So, yeah.
Because you know he's not cleaning. He has the garbage in his living room.
Yes, exactly. Well, okay, I like money. We have struck a deal, right? We're going to go to the time machine, but we got to find Rita. Rita is making money. The oldest occupation in the world is still thriving 500 years later. Baby, I can wait all day. Baby, all day. I can wait so good for you.
She's on a dime. She had no idea where she was. She doesn't even know it's the future yet. She just knows everybody's really fucking stupid, and now they think I'm a sex worker, which I am. So let me play them all for the fools that they are, and gets the money up front and just tells them, come back to me tomorrow. We'll talk more.
Yep.
Also, by the way, you're still on the clock as they walk away.
Which is it's so great.
Brilliant.
So Joe and Frito end up finding Rita, and they pull her into the car. And she's like, "What, you got police after you? Fuck you! I got 2 strikes. Damn it!" And they end up having to flee the car, and they shoot up the car, and the police come and they shoot up the car, which is very funny because Frito's like, yeah, boy, it's boy stuff, right? It's like big explosions, like what the bazooka goes off the wrong way and hits a plane, and the plane comes down, and everyone's like, "Yeah!"
This is like the 5th episode scene.
Yes.
Where they're doing the chase.
It's like, woo! Oh, it's good. It's good.
If he just put a Band-Aid on that UPC that was tattooed on his arm, because he's very, he talks with his hands a lot. Yeah. So he's getting, beamed up left and right with this UPC. These are the things that you think about afterwards, where you're like, this could have totally been avoided. And this could have already, if you're not using, foundation, because clearly a Sephora isn't around, at least put like a bracelet on or a leather wristband. Welcome to Costco. I love you. Welcome to Costco. I love you. I want Costco to tell me they love me when I walk in, but holy hell, that Costco is the giant warehouse that it still is. It is the giant warehouse that you can still get and find everything, including additional sex workers, with, of course, different services that are being provided that are all related to some sort of, relaxation techniques or food or anything you can find at Costco. Costco also has law degrees, as we know, where Frito Bendejo has received his. So Costco continues to be the everything of culture that people go to for one-stop shopping.
Yeah, and there's also a huge section of it that's just red couches, which I thought was very, very funny. Every time I watch that, I'm like, "What is this?" Wait, because the plane is in the background. It's very fun. It's very fun stuff. I would like a store that had a big shuttle like that. I think that would be very fun to take you around to different places. But stores don't need to be that big. They don't have to. They don't have to. The gesticulating Jess that you mentioned gets Joe caught here and arrested. Rita is like, "Yo, I am not a part of that," as she sees Joe getting arrested. And I like Frito, and because Frito and Joe are having a conversation about what am I going to do? Where are we going to go? How does time travel work? And the door on the tram is trying to close.
Which, ask the question once you're all, because we need to wait for Rita. Rita was doing just fine before y'all, and she'll do just fine after y'all.
Yep. She does not need y'all, which is so funny. But it is funny when Frito is just what, Joe is what about Rita? And Frito's I don't care.
Not my circus, not my monkeys, I'm out.
I don't care. And Joe is arrested, and he is not taken back to jail. He is taken to the White House. And he is
with the pool in the front lawn.
With the pool in the front yard. It's very funny. The ads are also very, very funny here. But the police take him to the White House. He is the smartest man alive. He's going to be made the Secretary of Interior. And we are introduced to President Camacho, 5-time SmackDown champion and porn superstar Terry Crews here.
Hulk Hogan has nothing on this man.
No, magnificent performance, I have to say, by Mr.
I love
Terry Crews.
Yeah.
This is hilarious. He is so funny here. And I do have to say that every member of the cabinet is pretty amusing in their own right. They all kind of hit.
Sarah Rue was in this. I completely forgot Sarah Rue is in this. Good for her.
Good for her. Oh, she's very funny. We have then our president saying like, all right, Joe, your head like a peanut.
I thought it would be bigger. You were so small. If you're the smartest man in the world, I thought you'd have a bigger head.
It's like a peanut. President Camacho has sworn in Joe as part of his cabinet, and he has a 3-point plan, let me tell you, to fix everything, because the teleprompter says, shit. I know shit's fucked. It's like, I know shit's fucked. I know shit's real fucked.
I wish speeches were like that. Because if you don't think people are into politics now, you're telling me, I feel like that's part of the reason people are so into politics, because you're like, what the hell is going to fly out of this person's mouth? So if that was on politics, C-SPAN all day.
He's so funny. He's like, we don't have no money for the burrito coverings. Shit's fucked. It's like,
I know. I feel you all.
I know. We're all a little emotional right now. And then we have North Carolina interrupting them.
I love some of that, remember? And then, because in the future, well, in another speech, he's like getting retaliated by the states, and they were like, South Carolina, what's up?
South Carolina, what's up?
And I don't know if anybody has watched like any DNC comic, like any clips from the DNC, but I was like, that's the energy.
It is the energy. Oh, it's funny. Of course, President Camacho was like, yo, shut up. Chill out. Shit's fucked. It's amazing. But
I have a plan.
Yeah, but we have a 3-point plan. We have this guy not sure. He's the smartest man alive, and he's going to fix it all within a week.
Could you imagine my 3-point plan? And like, he's the president, and he has all the answers, and that is the answer. So now you're like, oh, he does. Why wouldn't I vote for him? He does have all the answers. He's fixing it. Okay. And poor Luke Wilson, he's just like, I don't. I'm trying to put these disclaimers out so I am not fucked later. Still does later with, like Coliseum style attacks on him.
Oh, I wrote it down. He's going to fix the dead crops, the dust storms, the economy, acne, and car sickness.
The car sickness. If only. Please help me with car sickness. I would read so much more.
I discovered that I get seasick. So if only. All right. We have jet skis in the Washington Monument. Jet skis at the pond in the Washington Monument.
I'd like to see that.
I think it would be very nice. And I think
it'd be very nice, but also knowing it's a memorial, maybe not so
like,
much.
But we have then everybody staring at Joe, be like, do something smart. He's like, oh, fuck, all right. But he ends up recruiting Frito, and Frito's going to go get Rita. But then everybody, the cabinet and Joe, go to see the crops. They finally go see the crops because Joe is trying desperately to hatch a secret plan to escape and go to the time machine with Frito's help. And he's like, Frito, draw me a map. We can all guess how that turned out. But the important thing is that they go to the site where the crops are, and Joe discovers that Brondo has replaced water in the irrigation system for the crops.
Because Brondo owns the FCC and the FDA. So basically, they control everything and want no slander against their name. And honestly, just want control. And to be because they are also the number one employer of the country, where more than half the U.S.'s citizens work for Brondo.
Yep, Brondo. It's got what plants crave. It's got electrolytes. It's got what plants. What plants crave? What are electrolytes? It turns out there's salt, which had been collecting on top of the soil and killing all of the plants. So Joe is like, yo, just like put water from the toilet into the irrigation system instead of Brando. And he tries logic and he tries really hard. And finally, he just says, yo, I can talk to plants. I am the smartest man alive and I can talk to plants. And the plants said that they want water. And everyone's like, oh,
when he stopped thinking intellectually smart and societal smart, that's when everything started working in his favor.
Yeah, it's like, okay, all right, excellent.
Meanwhile, he still is like, I will do all this stuff for you as long as you pardon Rita when you find her. He doesn't even know how down bad he is, what for her. But I also, he's not a smart man, but he knows what love is. But I do think that he's like, this is the only person from the past who actually understands my frustrations of what's going on. So I feel like there's that kinship. And of course, forced proximity trope.
Rita drops a line that destroys Sam. And I thought was funny. But now, after Oppenheimer, I find just even funnier. So she goes, do you think Einstein was ever, what is it? She's like, do you think Einstein was ever like pissed off walking around being the smartest man in the world? Was that ever annoying? And he's like, I don't know. I've never really thought about that. And she's like, I guess you know why he built that bomb then. It's like, whoa. That's not quite right, but also, whoa, it's so good. It's so good. And no one reacts to it. And Maya just continues on. Oh my God. I guess that's right. That bomb. Oh, it's too good. It's too good. It's too good. Okay. Forced proximity. Just, you said they're sharing a room. You can sleep in the bed. No, he still thinks it's very sweet that she is an artist because that is what she said to him. And that is the connection that he made when she said that I do a little bit of this, a little bit of that, because he was like, oh, I knew a chainsaw artist.
I know a ton of people, they do a little bit of this, and which like reminds me of people who are just like really crafty, have multiple trades, and they make a really good living, like going to farmers markets and going, I think of like people who travel with the Ren Fair circuit and they're they are employed and they are sold out. And I'm just like, that really is a little bit of this and a little bit of that. And it's so niche. So he was like not closed-minded to anything.
Which is very sweet, but also like,
you're dumb.
You're dumb.
But this goes back to me being like, ugh, people are dumb. And Maya loves every second of it. Rita.
She's like, he's like, maybe you should find a boyfriend that doesn't control your finances. Maybe upgrade it. It's very, but she's like,
I think you two should go to couples counseling when we get back.
Very funny. Very funny. Very funny. Okay. The Fox News logo doesn't change. We'll say why that's funny later, but it doesn't. But there are riots. There are riots at the White House because, just as you said, half the country works for Brando, and Brando, the CEO, is on Zoom, and it's like, the computer did the auto layoff thing and we're all unemployed.
And, I'm sure that there are computers that do auto layoffs because everybody's just a number at the end of the day.
And it's just like, oh my God. And then we have one of the secretaries being like, brought to you by College Junior, brought to you by College Junior. Because every time he says it, he gets money. Oh, it's funny. Okay. But because of all these riots, Joe is, of course, rearrested, and he is sentenced to rehabilitation, which doesn't sound that bad, except it is just, as you said, Coliseum-style monster truck fighting, which is
the Dildozer and
it's like the Ass Blaster.
Yeah, Ass Blaster, that's what it is.
Ass Blaster and the dildo something.
The Dildozer.
The Dildozer, yeah.
The Dildozer and like the Ass Blaster.
Yeah, and then Beef Supreme.
Who is also played by his brother. Who I didn't know there was another Wilson brother.
I had absolutely no idea. However, I have always thought that Beef Supreme was like really attractive.
Oh, really?
I thought
I was going to be like, that's a good wrestling name.
Well, it is a good wrestling name, but I thought the actor, he has that like brilliant, like 1,000-watt smile.
Yeah.
And I was just like, who are you? Like,
wow.
Yeah. Wow.
Wow.
The monster truck race is very funny. Beef Supreme's car is too big to like, get in the building. It collapses on him. The big floppy dildo.
I don't even know if it's big. I mean, I guess it's big to like normal size, but not in comparison to the dildozer.
To the dildozer. His car, it doesn't work.
It's like a womp clown car. It's so sad.
Of course, Joe is chained to a rock so that he doesn't walk out of prison again, and it's on top of the car. He does like a little pit move, sort of, kind of, and the two cars like destroy themselves, and then Beef Supreme comes out of the rubble with a big flamethrower, like a gun, and starts like
he's like flamethrowing anybody in his like vicinity. Everybody loves him. He loves the attention.
And he's like playing up to the crowd. He's like, where is he? Over here.
Should I do over here? Should I do over here?
It's hilarious. It's very funny. But meanwhile, Rita was packing, and she looked out the window and saw that there was actually plants growing. So this is where, and I found it interesting here that Frito actually, even after a nice handy, remembered what his job was supposed to be. So Rita recruits one of the cameramen that's at the rehabilitation, and that man is the show her your O face, OOO guy from Office Space. And he and Frito go to the fields near Starbucks to get video proof that the crops are actually growing, but they have to get handies first because they are half off at Starbucks. It's a good deal. You can't pass it up.
Maybe they get extra stars that week.
Yep. I got all this money. Oh, I like money.
I like money.
So eventually they come out, and Frito and the cameraman end up getting footage of the crops growing, and a lot of it, they are growing, which is very fun. It's like they were desperate for water, like, please. And the president, Mr. Terry Crews, President Camacho, steps in and saves Joe from being killed in rehabilitation. And he goes, "You've earned a presidential pardon." It's very like dramatic, very big. And eventually, because of this, he is made, just as you said earlier, Joe becomes vice president. And Rita says that she is going to stay, and Joe decides that he is going to stay too because the ride sucks. That would have been my that saying, like, I don't have any more spoons, like I lost all my spoons, or like the straw that broke the camel's back. That would have been it. The ride sucks. That's a ride. And then Frito's like, yeah, you knew the whole time. Yeah, I like money. There wouldn't have been any money.
There wouldn't have been any money. He was like, you understand that if we didn't go back in time, no, he doesn't. If we went back in time, if I don't go back in time, you don't get the money. And he's like, it still doesn't process what that means at all.
No,
that would,
at all. Then Joe eventually becomes president. He has 3 kids with Rita. They're the 3 smartest kids in the world. And Frito has 32 very dumb kids. That's the end of the movie. But there is a speech that Joe gives, and he's like, and we will know whose ass it is and why it's farting.
And what that ass has to say. Fuck y'all.
Fuck y'all.
Fuck you.
God, it's so funny. That's the end of the movie. That's the end of the movie. And it's amazing. There's an end credit scene. Jess, did you see it?
I did. And it's upgrade. I was actually, honestly, I didn't watch the full credits. Shame on me. But hovered to be like, is there any end credits? And then I saw, so I watched it. But one of my favorite things about the end credits is there is an actual line that I feel like I've never noticed in any other movie, because I usually sit through the credits, you know this, where it says, the events, characters, and films depicted in the photoplay are fictitious. Any similarity to actual persons, living or dead, or to actual events or firms are purely coincidental. And 20th Century, I feel, had the foresight, and this is before they had those Disney lawyers in their back pocket. They knew someone was going to probably come for them. And did they think it was going to happen in 2016 and 2024? Probably not. Probably not. But the fact that they put that in there, I was like, oh, they foresaw many things.
It's really good. There's also a line in the end credits too that says like, this film was cut on a computer, and that is a running gag in a bunch of, Mike Judge films, which is just like very funny.
Was there an intention to be a sequel of this, if the way that end credit scene is written?
I don't think so. I know that there was like
I can't imagine.
There was like a television situation I saw.
Oh. I didn't see anything about it. But, you know, sometimes those post-credit scenes set up for that. So I don't know if this was just a funny gag, because then Rita was right all along.
In 2012, Terry Crews was in talks with Mike Judge and Fox over a spinoff featuring Commando as a web series.
Okay.
But it didn't go anywhere. It was in 2012. Jess, do you have fun facts?
Yeah, I feel like I've said some. I think one of the interesting things is the budget. It was $2.4 million, which is low. It is a low budget film for a Hollywood studio. It only didn't even break 500,000 in the box office. And you know, I love a PR thing. The marketing and PR team were, once this film was made, they were like, we're going to lay low. And it's really interesting because it's like, in 2006, streaming titles weren't a thing. Streaming services weren't a thing. Everything was either movie or like theatrical or straight to DVD in-home operations. So even this movie, it wasn't even released in the major cities. It was only released in 130 selected theaters. I think it was 130. It wasn't released in New York. It wasn't released in San Francisco. It wasn't released in LA. And those are like the three biggest markets in the United States. And they really just wanted it to let laying dogs lie and get to like DVD as fast as possible. And I mean, it's funny because I think Netflix was established around then, because you had the Redbox and then you had Netflix, and Netflix was straight to like home order DVD at that time. So I feel like that's probably where you saw it, or on like some bootleg site, maybe. But I think those are like the fun facts that I really enjoyed. Or like the Fox News channel. What was one of the quotes? Even though the world got much dumber over the centuries, Fox News didn't have to change that much. End quote.
Burn. Burn. Fun facts. I have some.
Let's hear 'em.
Everybody's wearing Crocs because they were a stupid, ugly, cheap shoe that would never be famous.
I saw him running in the orange jumpsuit and I go, are those Crocs? I definitely asked that. And then I did see that thing. And now I'm thinking, that would be a great Halloween costume for October 2024.
Mm-hmm. Crocs.
All orange jumpsuit with orange Crocs.
Yeah. The costume designer said they'll never take off. It's just a startup company. They'll never be famous. They're so ugly. They have holes in them.
You know my Crocs story, right? Mm-hmm. With my brother? Mm-hmm. Yeah. I feel like we shared it here. I'm not going to repeat it.
Mm-hmm. Brondo was licensed for sale, and you could buy it for a while, which was very fun.
Oh, interesting.
The Fuddruckers gag was going to have like a sister gag to it, and it was going to be about baseball, and it was going to be sports championship baseball, extreme baseball, fire. Sports championship, you know, and then extreme baseball where they're hitting each other with bats, and then fire where they're just hitting each other with baseballs. Yeah. This is, you might think that this story of people and evolution making people stupider is an original concept, but of course, no one has ever had an original experience. And Cyril M. Kornbluth in 1951 wrote The Marching Morons, which is kind of the first instance of just like stupid people on parade, I guess. The Cleavon family tree features Hank and Bobby Hill. Why is that important? That's important because Mike Judge is responsible for King of the Hill. And here is my shameless plug to go listen to our Clueless episode because Brittany Murphy was Luann in King of the Hill. R.I.P. to her. All right. Oh, I have a list of titles for this movie in other countries, but also one of the titles for this movie was the United States of America, which is,
I love America.
which is funny because behind the president, the lectern that he's at is like American Express. It's very, very funny. Some of the other titles in other countries, in France, it was Planet Stupid. Croatia, Idiots of the Future. The Czech Republic, Absurdistan. Portugal, Land of Idiots. Turkey, it was just called Idiots. Ukraine, Planet of the Idiots. Hungary, Stupid Paradise. Taiwan, Idiot Evolution.
Well, and speaking of titles, apparently they're trying to say like some of the reason for the box office failure was because there were issues with the name of the title. So when it came to like, I don't think IMDb, I think it was Fandango, they had it listed under like untitled Mike Judge comedy and they never updated the name to Idiocracy, which is usually like how it is like untitled project or something, untitled such and such project until the project has an actual name, but they never updated it. So when people were looking, you know, box office, however, people were getting tickets when this movie came out, it wasn't even coming up.
Yeah, which is crazy really to think about. But, you know, it all kind of just adds to the lore, I think.
I know.
The garbage avalanche is caused by a beer can, which is recyclable. It's just...
And people throw out recycling all the time.
All the time. All the time. Joe's last name is Bauer, which is German for farmer.
Oh!
Yeah. Yeah.
Huh, I didn't know that.
The president, in the original like script of this, the president was going to be AI, but it ended up being like really annoying, and they figured like no, and they just went with another crazy thing.
Both would have
worked.
Aged well and not well simultaneously right now.
Yep. Terry Crews had to audition 5 times. Yeah, this got its life on like home video, kind of the way that Office Space did. But this is, I guess, like less known. Yeah. Yeah, those are all my fun facts. I mean, it's a short movie.
It's less than an hour and a half. So it's not even your typical, you know, 90s hour and a half film. It's an hour and 24 minutes, including end credit scenes.
Yeah. I mean, incredible. They don't make them like that anymore. So Jess, here's the tricky question, I think.
Ooh.
I have 2 questions for you. 1, how would you pitch this to somebody that's kind of interested? And 2, do you like this movie?
I feel I don't know how I would like pitch somebody to watch this. I feel like if you want to understand how politics are in the US feel currently, here's a movie. It was supposed to be satire. Take it with a grain of salt, maybe. And like, I don't even remember how you all pitched it to me. It was very much like, oh, Sam has have you ever seen this movie? I said, what movie? Sam has a really good movie we should watch tonight after dinner. Like, that's what this was.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, like, oh, you know me, I'm down for anything, you know?
Yeah, because for a long time, it was just this fantastical, stupid boy humor thing that would never happen. That is just like, do you want to just be like, stupid funny? Like,
yeah, like, do you want to turn I feel like that's what it was. It's like, you know how there are some movies where like, if you want to turn your mind off and just like just kind of go with it, not think, just kind of vibe. let's do that. Cool. Say less. We'll totally do that.
Yeah, and it's short and it's wrapped up and there's a cute end credit scene where you're like, ha ha ha, and then it's done. Yeah. I
would say, would you watch it again? But you do.
Oh, yeah.
Do you feel like you watch it regularly?
No, I don't watch it regularly. However, knowing that it is on Hulu, I think that will be a little bit more accessible because for a while you just couldn't find this a lot of places. You had to like own it or like buy it from like Amazon or whatever.
Such as physical media.
Yeah, but physical media. But now that it's on Hulu, I think I will just like keep it in my like rotation or whatever because like, I don't know. I mean, it can't.
Don't say it. Don't say it. Because, I mean, it can.
Can it?
I don't know. This movie is definitely like, oh, if you want to laugh because you don't want to cry, just laugh through the tears. Because I think that's just every millennial and Gen Z know what to do. That's kind of our default lately. So.
And two, you can turn off your brain just a little bit, just like everybody else in this movie, and just kind of coast through what is going on. I do feel like this is a more palatable version of what is kind of happening.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
That's a perfect way of saying it.
Yeah. It's a more palatable version of what is happening. And again, I kind of think like this theme is look for the joy because like there isn't a lot of it. And there are joyful moments in here where you can turn your brain off and really just kind of vibe while also thinking critically about yourself, those around you, and your environment.
I love it. With that being said, feel free to follow us on Instagram. We're at ACOFAE Podcast. We're also both on TikTok, ACOFAE Laura and ACOFAE Jessica. We'll talk to y'all soon. Bye.
Bye.